All right, y'all. We're back with episode 2 of the PostCast. I'm your host, the Double Cup Daad, and we're back with another one. So we're going to give you a quick rundown of today's docket. So first we're going to start off light, talk about some dope-ass films that are out right now, some good shows, whatnot. Then we're going to ramp right up and talk politics, which everybody loves, am I right? A little bit of that 2020 action. And then from there, we're going to get into a little bit of culture, going to rant at you crackers about some shit that really bothers me, and then we're going to end it with some good old quality video game nostalgia. So let's get into it. So last time on the podcast, I talked about wanting to go see Annabelle Comes Home. I went and saw that last week, actually, like pretty soon right after my podcast, but I feel like it was a little bit of a letdown. It wasn't bad by any means. If you haven't seen it, I still recommend that you go and see it. I'll try not to spoil anything here, but it felt a little bit more action-oriented than horror-oriented, in my opinion. I felt like these psychological scares weren't quite what they've been in the past in the series, but it wasn't bad by any means. Again, it was still a good movie. I mean, if I had to rate it like 1 to 10, just off the top of my head, freestyling right now, probably give it like 7 out of 10. It's still a good movie. So this is in the preview, so I'll go ahead and say this on here. Basically, the premise of the movie is that Ed and Lorraine Warren, the couple, the two main characters that like deal with all the ghosts and stuff in the Conjuring universe, they bring Annabelle back to their house, back to their basement, lock her up in this container with like holy water stuff or whatever, basically to keep like the demon and the doll contained is the idea. The doll gets out and there's a bunch of other stuff in their basement that's like really haunted, a bunch of different stuff that's supposedly like possessed. So there's actually some really cool stuff in the movie. I don't want to ruin it, so I won't say too much in case you haven't seen the movie, but the possessed TV, we'll call it. That was really cool. That was something new I've never seen in a horror movie, but that was dope. If you guys haven't seen the movie, that's probably like the coolest entity in the movie, in my opinion. One thing that I thought was kind of whack is there was a couple times where certain ghosts or like entities from this basement would be having kind of their appearance, we'll say it like that, and they were too casual about it at times. I think if you kind of dive into horror and what makes things scary, the unknown is a big factor in keeping things kind of scary or in horror. And I feel like there was not a ton of unknown in this movie. I feel like that was kind of one of the issues that made it more action, in my opinion, and less horror, is that a lot of the entities were shown a little bit too much, and so there wasn't the element of surprise or not knowing what could happen, because it was kind of made obvious what these entities could do pretty early on. So from there, it kind of felt like the horror kind of peaked kind of early, and then it became action in the second half of the movie. That being said, it wasn't bad. I talked last time about how The Nun, I think probably the movie right before this, I'm not sure if anything came out between those in the Conjuring universe, but The Nun was a big flop, man. In my opinion, it was straight garbage. There was like maybe 2 or 3 scary scenes in that movie, but for the most part, it was just action. That could have been the directors making this movie could have been the directors making a conscious decision to kind of take the action from The Nun for the fans that might have come in and liked that movie, and to take horror from previous like Conjuring movies or Annabelle movies and try to blend that as to combine those two audiences and make two audiences happy. Maybe I'm looking too far into that, but I kind of did have that impression. Because again, the first half of the movie was very horror oriented, and then it felt like maybe not even the second half, but the last third of the movie was just over the top action is kind of what it felt like. I wasn't really like spooked or scared at all, but still I do recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it. Definitely worth the ticket price. That being said, I did see another horror movie this week. I saw the new Child's Play Chucky movie, and I'm just going to be blunt. It was complete and utter trash. It wasn't like the worst movie I've ever seen, but it was like, if I could have the money back from the ticket, there's a good chance that I'd want that money back from the ticket. It was just not that scary, which I didn't really expect it to be, but, you know, I like horror movies, so I was like, I'll just give this a try, because we're kind of in a horror drought right now, it feels like, where there's not a whole ton of good horror movies coming out lately, really these past, like, 6 months. And I've been busy, so I haven't seen horror movies in quite a while. So I went and gave Chucky a try. I'll just give a quick overview. Honestly, I'm going to spoil just a tad bit about it, but it's not a great movie, and it's really not going to ruin the experience too much, so who cares? In the Chucky movie, basically what the premise is Chucky was made out to be an intelligent learning AI in a child's doll. So the premise of this movie is that millions of these little Chucky dolls are like sent out. I forget what they're called, but they're like an intelligent AI that's supposed to kind of like learn your kid's name or whatever. You're supposed to talk to the kid, which was kind of actually a cool spin on Chucky. And then the idea is that one of the programmers in the factory got like pissed off at his job or at his boss for some reason, and disabled a lot of the parameters within the learning AI, so that things like the doll could swear, or that the doll could basically, the AI could learn without having certain like parental parameters, if that makes sense. So the way that the doll learns to kill and turns into the murderous Chucky or whatever is he learns off the bat that like Andy or whatever the kid's name was is his friend. And from there, things happen in Andy's life. Basically, his mom's dating a tool. His mom's a little bit of a tool. He gets like beat up and stuff. And then the doll learns that Andy's his friend, what that means, and then he starts to hate everyone that picks on Andy or whatever the kid's name is. It's kind of a cool spin, because like it takes the idea of just like a AI trying to learn something, trying to comprehend humanity and stuff. Kind of a little bit of like a alien AI robot apocalypse twist to it. But other than that, it was garbage. I liked that premise. That was basically the only redeeming factor in the movie. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give the new Child's Play / Chucky that came out in 2019. For anyone who's watching this years from now, I'm adorable. I think, man, I'd have to give it like a 4. It wasn't that good. Maybe a 5, but it wasn't that good. Probably a 4. And then we're gonna roll right into something that I definitely want to talk about and I need to tell you all about. So there's this new show on Netflix called The Society. I'm sure you've seen ads for it or you've seen it suggested to you on Netflix. It's kind of one of their shows that they're pushing right now. And man, I cannot recommend this show enough. So I'm going to give you, we're going to start with a quick overview of the show, as to kind of give you an idea of what it is, and then I'll give you some more thoughts on it. But don't worry, I won't spoil anything. So if you want to go and watch this afterwards, don't worry, I won't ruin too much. So the premise of the show on the first episode, there's these kids, it's a good amount of kids, so I assume it's like the junior and senior class of a high school, and they go on a field trip. And prior to leaving on this field trip, there's kind of this talk in town about how there's like some awful smell that's taken over the town. I think they said it smells like sulfur. I honestly forget, but it's like some weird kind of smell in the town. It's a little bit ominous is the idea. And prior to leaving on this field trip, they see a little bit of some sort of judgment type text written on a wall, and I think it's like Hebrew. At their school, it looks like graffiti and it's like painted in red. Just a couple of weird things happen, but obviously these are like dumb high school kids, so they don't think too much about it. Now, these kids leave on a field trip. I forget where they're trying to go, but they hop on like a few buses. They leave town. There's a couple of bus drivers and just the kids. They leave town, and when they're like pretty far out of town, they come up on a bunch of like trees that have fallen in the middle of the road. They're like, what the heck, we can't leave town, I guess. Like, we can't go to our field trip destination. So they turn all the buses around. They drive the kids back to the town. Now, here's where things get weird. Bus drivers drop them off, drive off. The kids are like, the town seems kind of dead, kind of quiet. So they call their parents. Parents aren't there. They start calling like other friends and relatives in town. No one's answering, no one's there. They kind of get freaked out at this point, but everyone's like, all right, let's just go home. They all kind of meet up and discuss, and like no one in the town is there. The only people that are there are the kids that had left town and got dropped back off on the bus. I'm not going to spoil too much, but I'm just going to give you this little bit of information so that it makes sense and you're not just super curious, left on a cliffhanger right here. The kids are not completely stupid. They try to actually leave town once no one is there. They're like, did everyone leave, get evacuated or something? And now their town is surrounded by forest. Like, a lot of the roads just stop and it turns into endless forest as far as the eyes can see. So for all intents and purposes, their town is isolated. There's a little bit of lore, a little bit of mystery that reminds me a lot of like something like Lost, if you guys have seen that, where you're on the edge of your seat wanting to learn more about the lore and about kind of the mystery of it all. But I won't spoil that. Now, the whole thing about it that's really kind of cool is these kids have to form a society, because now you've got like a few hundred high schoolers in this big vacant town with, you know, like really limited food. Because, I mean, an entire town worth of food sounds like a lot, but I mean, if you really thought about it, if your town got cut off today and you live in a small town like these kids do, you would run out of food eventually. So they start having to kind of move in the direction of making an organized society, making rules, making laws, protecting each other, and planning things out. A lot of the show, a lot of the reason it's cool is there's these different tensions. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's like one kid, for instance, who one of the first things he does once he realizes that they're alone in the town, he raids the pharmacy, and he actually gets a lot of the prescription drugs. And then he goes around and tries to get people kind of hooked on the drugs so that he can basically start pulling strings and start pulling resources as he wants to, because now he controls the addiction. There's a lot of like really cool stuff in it. It's a little bit of, my opinion here, it's a little bit of kind of like a cringe teen drama at some points, something like Riverdale, where there's a little bit of that like teenage like stupidity and kind of energy, if that makes sense, because the kids are in high school. There's kind of like the over the top, like, oh my gosh, like, we just met each other, we're gonna have sex because we're in love, like that dumbass type of stuff that you see in, again, shows like Riverdale. But overall, I would say it does a really good job of keeping a pretty serious and realistic tone. There's just a little bit of that cringy trash here and there. But overall, man, it's a really good show. There's just one season on Netflix right now. I'm really praying, I'm really hoping that it gets great ratings and that a lot of people watch it, because the way that Netflix actually determines which of their Netflix originals get sequels is dependent upon the first month streams. So Netflix will literally determine in the first 30 days if a show is going to get a second season or not. And it's kind of weird how that happens. But yeah, they just expect word of mouth to basically make shows take off. And if it doesn't, then they just cancel it. They don't waste their money with it. But there's a lot of cliffhangers at the end of season 1, so I'm really praying that they make a season 2, 3, 4, as many as they need to tell the story, because there's really, after season 1, 10 episodes, I feel like we've just scratched the surface. Again, it's a great series. I can't recommend it enough. I'd say like the first episode and a half are kind of slow. If you can just make it past that first episode and a half, it really starts to pick up. The characters at first are going to seem a little bit like token kind of high school characters, but as you start to go deeper into the plot, you start to see how they develop as people, and you start to understand the nuances of their personalities. And in that respect, I feel like the writing is actually pretty good. One of my favorite characters is, I think his name is Harry. He's like the rich kid. If you've seen the show, you know who I'm talking about. He's not a perfectly good character, but I'm rooting for him. I like the kid. But yeah, really good show. Go check it out. It's on Netflix. There's so much I want to say about it, but I don't want to spoil it, so I'll just let you go ahead and check it out. Now we're going to start moving into the I'm pissed off part of, or segment of this podcast, this PostCast. Like and subscribe. So this week, I decided to go off on a couple of YouTubers. Obviously, if you saw last week's PostCast, there's the page We Do Not Consent. He's just big on posting some stupid-ass conspiracy theories with, baseless accusations, not a whole lot of proof. I went off on him a little bit. He gave me a comment back saying, like, hey, I appreciate your engagement, but you... I'm just going to give a quick rundown. Basically, he was like... I appreciate the engagement, but you know, you're just basically buying into the official narrative, and school shootings don't really happen, and you would know that if you actually try to call up the schools and talk to these supposed parents of children who have been killed in school shootings. Just kind of really diving deep into his narrative. I've been really debating if I even want to give him clout, reply back to him. I might just make a video and just really go in on him, because there's 100 ways that I could attack this cracker and take him out. But for right now, I'm not going to waste my energy, especially because I'm about to roast the shit out of another guy who I roasted the shit out of already this week. So there's this Instagram page, and I can't tag him here, so I'm going to carefully give you the name so that you can go ahead and check him out, because he blocked me. I can't tag him anymore, but his Instagram username is fearless.fx. That's fearless.fx. If you want some good cringe, go ahead and check this out. It's really some high quality cringe. So I'm just going to scroll through his Instagram right here on my computer. I'll try and throw up some stills of some of the photos, man, on this Instagram. But I was just scrolling through Instagram. I look a lot at the hashtag entrepreneur or like hashtag business tags on Instagram. Because every once in a while you get those like gems, or you find cool pages like Gary Vee or pages like that, financial education, that you want more of. But I was scrolling, man, and this came up actually, I think, in my little trending or the little search tab on Instagram. And it's this post right here. It's a vision test that's been altered to say the only thing worse than being blind is having sight and no vision. Now, I know there's like people that are like, oh, that's so deep, and they busted a nut. They busted a nut when they saw this shit, or they see cringe ass shit like this. They're like, oh my gosh, that really just speaks to my life. But this is some cringy ass shit. And I think what pisses me off the most is your page is called fearless.fx, and it's talking about learning and making money, learning how to make money, making money, like investing, being strong and unshakable, having, let me read directly off his bio, build a strong and unshakable mindset. Okay, bitch, this shit's not unshakable. This shit's cringe. Do you think Jeff Bezos is like, yeah, that really describes me. Wow, I'm glad that I had a vision. Like, bruh, chill. So, you know, I decided to be a little bit of a jackass and comment, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight and having to look at this whack-ass post. And then I commented some other stuff. I honestly forget. But dude removed my comments because he can't handle like jokes or criticism, I guess. And then he went ahead and blocked me because I was snapping on him. Probably because I tagged him in it too. But can I just take a minute to point out the irony of naming your page fearless.fx, but then being scared the moment somebody has a little bit of criticism for the cringe ass shit you post, and getting scared and banning any like dissenting voices, blocking me? It's like I snapped on him on my story. If you guys didn't see my story, I was basically like, so your name is fearless.fx, and you talk about building a strong and unshakable mindset, but then you're just going to go ahead and get scared and just ban and block any dissenting voices. You're all about building business, but then the second somebody's not 100% happy with the crap that you're putting out, you go ahead and you tell them, well, you're not allowed to say that. Go ahead and try that with your customers. Highly recommend it. As somebody who actually deals with customers, has a couple of successful businesses, please go talk to your customers and tell them that you don't want to hear anything that they have to say, and see how long your business flourishes. Again, this is just one of those Instagram pages, though, where they're just chasing the biggest trend, and they're not actually intelligent business owners or entrepreneurs, most likely. It's probably just someone who, I mean, he talks a lot about Forex, foreign exchange trading. That's like the big new bubble on Instagram, is like, if you want to get rich, go trade foreign exchanges. But I mean, that's the thing, y'all. I'm gonna hand out some real game to you guys right now. I don't make a crap ton of money off of my businesses, but I'm trying to do this stuff the legitimate way. I'm scaling up over time. This is not an overnight success. It's like Big Sean says, it's gonna take 10 years for me to be an overnight success. You guys are gonna see it one day and be like, wow, this kid really blew up. But you got to put in the groundwork if you actually want something big. a lot of these pages are going to be tracing one trend one day and another trend a different day. So for a while it was drop shipping. That was the big thing. You'd see ads online like, hey, do you want to make $10,000 a day? Go and create a drop shipping store on Shopify today, and you can go hook up with a Chinese supplier, and he'll supply you with the best products ever, and you can sell $1 million worth of products in a week. You know, like the stupid ass stuff that you've seen like that. Ty Lopez does it more cleverly in terms of just knowledge, which knowledge is a big part, but honestly, hustle's another big part. Right now, the big thing, the big bandwagon for people to follow and think that they're going to get rich is foreign exchange trading. I'm just going to say it like this. How many people do you personally know in your life that make at least 6 figures a year solely off of foreign exchange trading? Probably no one, because I don't. And I actually spend a lot of time trying to learn from people who are successful. It's just, realistically, you just have to stop and think about this stuff logically. But before we move on from this guy's page, I just want to roast the shit out of another one of his posts. Let me scroll down here. Here's a good pencil one. So right here you have 3 dull pencils and a sharp pencil, and you know what it says? It's easy to look sharp when you haven't done any work. This shit is about as deep as Kim Kardashian in a kiddie pool. This shit's shallow, bro. Like, do you think Bill Gates, if he saw your page today, he'd be like, wow, I could not have said it better myself? Do you think if Warren Buffett came across your page, he'd be like, man, this guy said it the best. Honestly, he's articulating what I've clearly been thinking over the year. Do you think the CEO of Google, Twitter, Apple, like, do you think Tim Cook comes on this page and he's like, yeah, this is literally all of my business experience right here in one page. I mean, everything I could have said has been said better here. It's just, it's shallow shit. And you know what? Don't follow it. If you guys are into the whole entrepreneur / business / investing / trading movement online, there's a whole little community about it if you go and check out any of those tags. Be vigilant. Please be vigilant. Don't be another sheep following pages like this. If you go click on like #entrepreneur right now, every once in a while you'll find a gem. There is good people in this kind of space. Again, people like Gary Vee. I would even say Grant Cardone, even though he's more real estate. You've got people like financial education, Jeremy. He's pretty cool. There's so many more I follow. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But you get so much surface level junk like this that's just trying to prey on the fact that you're just starting to try and figure out business, and it's just here to make you feel good. That's what it's here for. It's literally a dopamine rush, so you'll be like, wow, good thing I have a vision, good thing I'm not blind, right? Okay, stop. If you have a vision, you don't need affirmation through some cheap ass Instagram post. If you don't have a vision, you don't need affirmation either, because at the end of the day, you need to go and get a vision. You need to have a vision for what you're doing with your life. Instagram pages like this don't contribute anything except for making you feel good about doing nothing. Let me say that one more time. Instagram entrepreneurship pages like this that post shallow ass content, all they do is make you feel good about doing nothing. Okay? And it is what it is, man. I kind of went in on this guy, but there's a lot of pages like fearless.fx. Again, that's fearless.fx if you want to look at some good cringe. I'm banned, man, so, you know, I'm just going to have to do it on my other profiles from now on if I want to laugh at the Cragger. It's good to know, though, that he was fearless in blocking me. So, from there, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the kind of political news that happened this week. So we'll go ahead and start with this. I thought this was pretty cool. Recently, Donald Trump actually became the first sitting president in the United States of America, in the history of the U.S., I think, to go ahead and step foot into North Korea while being a sitting president. So if you guys didn't see the news, Trump basically met at the border, the DMZ, the South Korean and North Korean border, and kind of met Kim Jong-un there and was like, yo, what's up, dude? They're just kind of chatting it up. Trump cracks me up. So here's what no one is talking about. So at first, Trump was very professional, very kind of stiff handshakes with Kim Jong-un, which makes sense. He's a dictator. But But Trump kind of just imposed himself. Kim Jong-un was just standing there, content to just stand there, and Trump's like shaking his hand. He's like, oh, did you want me to step foot into your country? Just kind of asserts himself. And Kim Jong-un's translator's like, hey, he's asking if you wanted him to step into his country. Kim Jong-un's kind of taken off guard. He's like, I mean, I guess if you want. Yeah. And Trump's like, oh, yeah, of course. And Trump just steps over. Now, here's what's hilarious. If you actually go and watch the footage, Trump, the second he steps foot in North Korea, he metaphorically starts slinging his dick around, all right? Let me explain how. If you go ahead and watch the footage, the second that they step into North Korea together, Trump kind of like looks around, kind of like makes sure that everything is cool. And then he starts leading Kim Jong-un through his own country. Trump has never been in North Korea. We don't know what's where in North Korea. But Trump just proceeds to walk deeper into that country while Kim Jong-un follows. That shit's funny. That's like you walk towards your neighbor's house. You're like, hey, Betty, I brought you some cookies. And you take a step in. She's like, oh, okay, well, come on in, I guess. And then you just start walking towards her bedroom. And you lead Betty to her bedroom. Like, come on, Betty, come on. That's basically what he did. And that shit's funny. No one really talks about that, but that's funny. That takes honestly a set of big ass balls to do that, dude. To just lead a dictator through his own country. But respect to Trump. He's always been that dude. He's been that guy, I guess. I mean, but other than that, again, last week we kind of talked about the 2020 race, Trump and who he's going to have to go against as far as the Democrats are concerned. And I kind of left out two players. Mostly because I didn't really consider them to be big contenders, and I really don't. But they're both getting more press this week than they were a couple weeks ago, so I figured I'd address them. So the two people I didn't really talk about that Trump's going to be going up against is Andrew Yang and Kamala Harris. So kind of give a quick rundown of both. Kamala Harris used to be, I believe it was the Attorney General for California. From what I understand, crime rates rose crazy. I don't want to say exponentially, but they rose pretty dramatically while she was the Attorney General. I mean, as everyone knows, California is just a piece of shit state. I don't mean any disrespect to people living there, but I just mean a lot of your Democratic politicians would, rather see homelessness spread and prosperity shrink. But that's just what every Democrat likes. She's running for president. She's African American. She's actually very charismatic, but as far as experience goes, she doesn't have a lot of experience, and the experience she has, in my opinion, doesn't really qualify her to be president. Being an attorney general of a state and having crime rates raise under you does not qualify you for president. But I mean, whatever. Go ahead and waste people's money. Go ahead and run if you want, I guess, Kamala. Now, on the other hand, on the flip side, we've got Andrew Yang. Now, I'm big on the whole free thinking movement. Shout out to the Scoop Steve. Shout out to Dylan. I had Two Savage for Democrats. These guys are kind of big on the free thinking movement. And the Scoop Steve Strange, he was big on Yang Gang for a minute, but now he's not because Andrew Yang had a poor debate performance at the Democratic debate. I'm kind of talking about a million things here at once, but let me compartmentalize. Andrew Yang is an Asian American, from what I understand, entrepreneur. Now, where I'm a little bit hesitant about his business record, no one really knows Andrew Yang through his business until he started running for president. No one really knew who he was, which that might be because he was a little bit quieter. You don't have to be loud to be a successful business owner. But when you hit these top tiers of success, you generally know who these people are. You know the people like Grant Cardone or like Tim Cook or like billionaires and multi-millionaires. So I'm a little bit hesitant to say that it was a great success as an entrepreneur, but from what I understand, he had decent success. Now, he's running as a Democrat, and to be honest, I really like his personality. I really like the guy for who he is. He's the only Democrat that actually speaks logically and actually comes up with plans for how he's going to fund different things that he wants to do, different projects, which is completely foreign to the Democratic Party. Let me just say that. There's probably close to 10 Democrats running right now, and out of those 10, it seems like there's maybe... Andrew Yang is the only one who I've heard really talk about how he's going to fund new programs, because Democrats just create new programs and just don't really talk about it, and it just ends up on the taxpayers' back to pay whatever program of the day they want to roll out, I guess. But Andrew Yang has one really unique position that he holds, and that's that he wants to do universal basic income, UBI, and he wants to do it where everybody gets $1,000 a month tax-free, just put into your bank account every month. Now, you're either going to say this sounds stupid or this sounds lit, but let's just kind of like run through UBI and what that means. So he talked about how he would fund giving every American adult from age, I think it's age 18 to 65, $1,000 a month. That's $12,000 a year, tax-free. Regardless of if you're able-bodied, or if you can work, or if you can't, or if you're like stupid, or if you're whatever. Like, everyone gets it. He talked about how he would fund that, and the way that he wants to fund that is through I forget what he calls it, but it's a certain tax basically on, it's called the freedom tax, I believe, and it's placed on a bunch of different big tech corporations like Amazon that he claims don't pay taxes anyways, which, if we want to get into it, Amazon does pay taxes, just not what they should, which shout out to them. I mean, taxation is theft anyways, right? Stay woke. But he wants to basically give each American $1,000 a month with the idea that this will spur economic growth. If we can take it from those big tech companies, give it back to the people to spend and to make the economy flourish, that this will help people to, that we'll have kind of a second renaissance of sorts, is the idea that people will have more time and more money to be able to spend on arts and to be able to start businesses, basically do meaningful things that contribute to society, is what he claims. Now, I see three big problems with this. Okay, first of all, I think realistically, if you give the lowest members of society, if you raise the bottom floor by $1,000, then it just raises everything else by roughly $1,000. I think per month, I'm saying. So I think if everybody has $1,000, $1,000 is no longer $1,000, right? Like, part of the reason that money works the way it does and it works so effectively is because we have different people that play different roles in how they manipulate money, right? Like, money has value because it's not super easy to get, right? Like, you have to go out and work for money. I think if everybody got $1,000 a month, it would only be in your best interest as a business to start, increasing rates. Like, if you sell, let's just say clothes, say you sell shirts for $20 right now. I mean, everyone got an extra $1,000 a month. I could probably start charging 22, maybe a couple months from now, 24, maybe a couple of months from now, 25, 26. I think it allows businesses more room to start getting their price up, which ties into my second point. In addition to the rising cost of goods as a result of this, basically inflating the value of everything, similar to how if you increase minimum wage, because this is basically increasing minimum wage, right? In terms of the lower members of society getting a big boost that they didn't previously have. What that always does is just makes cheap products and services more expensive, and even expensive services slightly more expensive. But the second thing that I think this does, and no one wants to talk about this, okay? Think in terms of ownership. The biggest companies like Amazon that would get this tax taken away and have this money theoretically taken away from them and given to the little guy, they still own the biggest online market share of any retailer. They still have that digital real estate, okay? So what's going to happen when realistically these people that have never had a ton of money start to get not a ton of money, but $1,000 a month? You're going to get people that aren't great with money anyways, and all of their money is just going out. A lot of people's money, all right? And when that starts to happen, they're just going to start, that money's just going to go back to the top, to the people that have the digital real estate or the physical real estate, or basically that have ownership right now. Here's the thing. If you get $1,000 a month, you might go out and you might like get stuff that you feel like, oh, this is for me. Like, I'm going to buy this laptop now. But the guys who are making good money are still selling you that same laptop. So a good portion of that money is just going right back up to the top. I mean, over time, eventually. I think, truthfully, it's not really going to take that much away. It is going to take away, but I think a lot of that money is going to go back up to the top. It's just going to be a portion of that money. So that's the thing. If you're trying to hurt companies, which I don't necessarily know that Andrew Yang is, I don't think he is, but I know Democrats hate capitalism and, flourishing companies because they think money is just like comes from trees. That's not really going to hurt companies awfully over time. It will hurt them up front. It'll hurt the whole economy, in my opinion. My third point on this is that just that the economy is not going to do as well if these big companies that employ a lot of people are suddenly getting taxed at an exorbitant amounts. And the other thing to consider is that these companies are not actually going to pay the tax. Amazon's not going to suddenly start paying taxes because you put the freedom tax on them. Let me explain to you guys how taxation works from a business perspective, okay? And this is true of me because I'm dealing with trade tariffs possibly and a lot of stuff that I import right now. If I get a new 50% tax levied on my company, if I want my company to stay afloat, if I want to keep the same level of profitability and not lose ground and not potentially lose employees if I had employees, right? It only makes logical sense that I would go ahead and increase prices by roughly 50%, maybe even more, because once you increase prices, you start to lose demand. So I might have to even increase prices a little bit more, right? Amazon, if they're getting taxed at a huge tax rate, is just going to increase the price on their goods. It's not going to happen overnight. It'll have to happen over time. And then who buys goods? Who needs goods that Amazon has? Consumers. Okay. So now you have $1,000 a month, but all the prices of goods are going up because Amazon has to basically make up for all this tax loss because they have people they have to feed. They have investors. They got employees. They got Jeff Bezos who's hungry for another billion. They've got people they got to feed. They've got people that they have to appease, right? And they're not just going to be like, oh, you stole this much of our money. Oh, well, I guess we'll just have to, we'll have to just take it up the ass. Like, Amazon is going to have to find a way to make that money back. And the most probable way is that they're going to increase the rate or the cost on goods, especially when you're talking about Amazon, which already has such a huge market share, so much digital real estate. So the end person that ends up paying more for their goods is you. So if you have $1,000 a month, but everything is costing you, like $10 more, $20 more, $30 more, $100 more, really nothing good is happening to you. It's just that we're watching the price of everything soar, skyrocket, which is not good for an economy, which kind of ties back to my earlier point. So that's Andrew Yang. That's universal basic income. Now, one thought that I've been having watching these Democratic debates, and this suddenly occurred to me, which this is not really a new thought in American politics, but intelligence really doesn't matter anymore. Andrew Yang, even though I don't agree with his universal basic income, is a very intelligent individual. You can tell by how he articulates his thoughts, just by how he speaks, how he carries himself. You can tell that he has quite a bit of intelligence. I think he also went to like Harvard or some Ivy League school, but it's not about intelligence anymore when we're talking about running for president, which is actually kind of scary in a way. It's all about personality, man. Kamala Harris has very little experience, like I talked about. She was an attorney general in a failing state. Congratulations. And she got a ton of press from the last Democratic debate. She's like the media's like favorite go-to presidential candidate right now. They're just like, oh, it's all about Kamala. They get so excited, but she's kind of a dumbass. Like, if you actually delve into like most of the Democrats up there, a lot of them literally want to abolish outright private healthcare. The idea that you and I could take our money and go, well, like I've got a little bit of money extra every month, like I'm doing well for myself, so I'd like to go out and get this health service that's a little bit higher quality, and I can mess around with the deductibles and the premiums and all that crap, health savings accounts, and I can get what I want. I can get it tailored towards me and go through this private company who I think is going to offer me the best. No, I think there was only 2 candidates that are still in favor of some level of private healthcare on stage. But these guys are off the rails nuts, man. All of them want to outright abolish private healthcare in favor of public healthcare and expanding Medicaid, Medicare, all that bull crap. Basically just more big government shit. Now, if you're out there and you're a youngster following me, because, bitch, I'm the Double Cup Daad, then let me explain it like this. Government creates problems, okay? Government is not the solution to your problem. The more you have government try to fix problems, the more problems they create. The government is literally a greasy, obese mechanic. That's our federal government. He's the type of guy that's like, oh, let me get right under your truck. I'll figure out what's going on. And you came in because your tire was a little bit, low on pressure. And you're like, yeah, well, I don't think you need to get under my truck. It's just that I think I need, a little bit more air in that tire. That's all I came in for. I was just hoping. And he's like, no, please. And he gets into your truck, starts loosening shit, maybe like rips out a piece of like, I don't know, the freaking air filter. And she's just messing up the car. That's the thing. And then maybe when he's all done jacking up your car, he'll put a little bit of air in there, maybe squeeze a little bit of air freshener in your car. So he basically sticks his hand up your ass, but then he gives you a lollipop afterwards to make up for it. That's basically our federal government. Now, I personally would rather not be sodomized. I would rather just kind of like, well, my tire's, a little bit under pressure. I'll figure out a way to take care of that myself, but it's not the end of the world. If you catch my drift. It seems like government only ever creates problems. But man, I don't know. Now, we're going to switch gears here again. We're still talking about politics, but in the news this week, Colin Kaepernick, certified dumbass, got up Nike's ass for Nike wanted to. I forget the name of the shoes. I'm not a sneakerhead. I apologize. I own a pair of NMDs, and that's about it. Kaepernick wanted Nike to cancel a pair of shoes that they had with an American flag on it. Here's the thing. It wasn't even a proper American flag. It was like some customized American flag. But Kaepernick basically said publicly, I don't like that shoe. It has an American flag. I hate America. And then Nike was like, that's awkward. I guess we'll have to pull all of these from production. I want to know three things. First of all, who made Colin Kaepernick a cultural gatekeeper for what's fly and what's not? Second of all, Nike, are you stupid? Third of all, Colin Kaepernick, I don't mean to be a jackass here, it's just an honest question. Have you always been this retarded, or was this kind of like, did you like hit your head like too hard in practice one day? You didn't have a helmet on kind of thing. Someone came and headbutted you with their helmet and you just went full blown ree, and that's just what this is. I'm just curious. But no, really, who made Colin Kaepernick a cultural gatekeeper for the United States of America? This guy is like the most unapologetic hater of America. It's ridiculous. The whole kneeling for the national anthem, I'm like, personally, I think there's a better way to send the message that there's police brutality and that there's inequality in this country than kneeling during the national anthem. But whatever, I'll give him that. But literally saying, I hate this shoe because there's a flag that is literally a national flag from the nation that I belong to on this shoe. Are you actually retarded? Because I guarantee you, if they came out with a shoe that had like, the Mexican flag or, I don't know, South Korean flag, he'd be like, oh, that shit's fly. But it's because it's the American flag and he hates America that he has to be like, that's not okay with me. But you know what, Colin? You're not okay with me. You're big gay, all right? Now, this brings me to another question. That I was thinking about. And I was asking my stepdad about this because, he's a actually, you know what? I don't want to talk too much about personal family. There's going to be a lot of crackers that want to kill me after the dope-ass shit that I put out on here. So, but I was asking my stepdad's opinion on this. But it seems to me, personally, like Democrats are starting to hate America more and more. I don't even think that that's up for debate at this point in time. And let me make this as clear as possible as to alienate as few of you as possible with this statement. Democrats are increasingly, or people to the left, I wouldn't even say Democrats, left-leaning people are increasingly starting to have discontent / hatred / a dislike for the way that America is currently today. They hate America. That's basically what I'm saying when I say they hate America. I wanted to make that clear. And with these Democrats hating America, I think what it is, if I'm being 100% honest, because I've done a lot of thinking, I'm like, how do you hate a country that you belong to? Like, I know it's the trendy shit, but like, it's kind of retarded. It's kind of like, it's not good to hate where you live. It's not good to say, I hate my country. Why are you living here if you hate it? Like, if you think your country is so bad, then like, why are you not doing something about it? And the thing is, America's not that bad. It's just a bunch of discontent people. So here's my theory. Here's my thought that I've had this week. I think Democrats are increasingly hating America because it's this hatred for America on the left is a cultural reflection of people's own self-hatred. And they have their own self-hatred because they haven't dealt with any real trials or anything real to feel good about themselves in life. Now let me work backwards from that, because I know I'm probably not articulating things entirely clearly, and I'm talking fast. I sound like a maniac, okay? I think culturally the reason that you're seeing more people start to hate the United States of America is because we are starting to, I mean, my generation, I guess I'm at the tail end of millennials, but even the new generation, we're growing up in a time where there's no real trials. You get participation trophies for basically everything. When I was growing up playing soccer and football, everyone got a trophy, which is whack as shit in retrospect. Lord, please forgive me for swearing. No cuss gang, all 2019. Verge gang, all 2019. Let's get it. Let me get back on track here. We grew up in an era where kids are having no real trials. Back in my grandfather's era, when my grandfather was my age, he was storming the beaches of Normandy, killing krauts. And I know, gosh, you guys, people can't handle words anymore. Let me add a little asterisk caveat. When I say krauts, I'm not saying all Germans are bad people. I'm not saying I'm racist towards all Germans. I do think that all Germans back in the 1940s, not all, the majority of Germans back in the 1940s were pretty garbage. And I apologize that I have to keep sidetracking to articulate these kinds of things. It's just that people are so stupid that they'll misconstrue even the most obvious things. Now let me backtrack. Kids are not really dealing with anything. When you're not dealing with anything, you don't develop a sense of self-worth and the ability to really fight and feel strong and solid in who you are, what you do, your beliefs. You're effectively weak. When you're internally weak like that, you have a certain hatred for yourself. And I truthfully think that that's why depression, anxiety, all of these issues are so prevalent today, is because we don't have the same level of trials that we did years ago. You know, you're not growing up asking if you're going to be able to eat tomorrow. Now it's, you know, you're going to have a meal every day. It's like, what's the point of life? It's kind of like when you... actually, this makes a lot of sense. I'm going to liken it to Minecraft. It's like in Minecraft, when you're first starting your world, man, you got to hustle. You got to build that house up. You got to get your farms going. You're trying to tame some animals. You're trying to get a horse so that you can get to the next place. You're trying to trade with villagers. You're trying to go out and get diamonds. You're trying to do all this stuff. But once you have your house and your house is built, once you've explored the nether, the end, once you've had a successful farm and you have all the animals you could want locked up in little pens, once you have tons of diamonds in your chest and a full set of enchanted diamond armor, Minecraft stops being as exciting because there's no more trials. And so instead of seeking out new trials, a lot of kids nowadays just accept that they don't have any trials, and it turns into like depression and issues with self-worth, because humans always need a purpose. We always need a battle to be fighting, something to be winning, something to be doing. That's just reality. And back in the day, growing up on a farm, it was like, man, I got to hustle out here because we're not going to be able to eat if we don't farm. You know, it was, I got to hustle out here and go kill these damn Germans, because if I don't, they're going to come home and kill my family. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to take over the world. Like, there was very real struggles. World War I, World War II. I mean, even the Vietnam era, it was like we had a clear goal in mind that all of American society could get behind. Even though it was a tad bit taken out of proportion, we had a clear goal to defeat communism and stop the spread of communism. And that's ultimately what we tried to do. We had clear goals, and people, hard work, man. We had something to do, something to get our minds off of being selfish. That's what it is. So these people start to get depressed, start to get anxiety, and start to have this self-hatred and negative self-views because they're not accomplishing anything. They don't feel good about themselves. You don't feel as good about yourself when you're not getting things done and doing great things for the world. Because all of your time is now being spent in self, in service to self. It's, I have all this free time in my day. Like, should I play video games? Like, oh, I can eat whatever I want, but I want to eat this kind of food. Like, you start to get spoiled, and there's not quite that same sense of self strength. You start to develop kind of a self-hatred, I think. And I think that's why you see this hatred of America, is because we haven't had enough trials. And I think that's true too, because when you look at when we do face real trials like 9/11, the whole country rallied behind America, and like the flag was the coolest shit for years. You know, but nowadays it's like, oh, that good old flag that we were all flying when the Twin Towers got hit. Yeah, F that shit. We should have never invaded Afghanistan. Which, don't get me wrong, like, we shouldn't have gone into Iraq, but like Afghanistan, we did need to snap back on some crackers. But that's just the thing, man. There's like this cultural decay, and we can get into that in future podcasts. I would absolutely love to get into cultural decay and how society is changing negatively over time, if that's something that you guys want. But I just wanted to touch up on it today. But that actually brings me to another cultural issue. Christian values, Christianity in Western society has been beaten borderline into submission, and it really bugs me. And I'm not by any means a perfect Christian. I'm really not. If I'm being honest, I haven't been to church in like 2 months. I don't like really read my Bible a whole lot, if I'm being honest. But I do believe in Christ. I'm born again. I'm a saved Christian. I've been baptized. Christ is King. That's a fact. But Christian values are being robbed, are being taken out of Western society in favor of whatever the morality is of the day. And there's huge ramifications to this, guys. The thing that people don't realize is Christianity, even if you're an atheist, and I had a great conversation with one of my good buddies who's an atheist. Even if you're an atheist, okay, you have to acknowledge that Christianity, a faith that's so centered around doing things for other people, if that faith starts to erode, and we have this system that really keeps us in a certain set of parameters and really gives us good guidelines and moral guidance for society, if that starts to erode, society is really not in a good place. If we're getting rid of a lot of our boundaries, these things that we held so high, these pillars, we're starting to break them down. And I know a lot of people that are not really privy to Christianity and that have not gone to church a lot view Christianity in this light of, oh, we're all gay haters and we're bad people or whatever because we don't support abortion or this, that, or the third. I really challenge anyone here who thinks that Christianity is like a cancer to the world to just go sit in on like a non-denominational or just like a good Bible church. Just go sit in on a Sunday and just listen to the sermon. That's really not what Christianity is about. The thing about gays, dude, Christians do not talk about gays like the left thinks Christians talk about gays, or like atheists think that Christians talk about gays. Christians talk about gays like every once in a while, but it's really not at the top of our list. The things that Christians talk about day in and day out is like, how can I get closer to God? How can I live the life that God wants? And how can I help people? How can I lead people towards God? How can I lead people towards happiness? How can I do selfless acts for other people? The fact that that is starting to be eroded from Western society is an awful thing. It's like one of the worst things possible. And truthfully, I think Christianity is an endless process trying to get closer to God, to Christ, trying to get more and more faithful over time. And I think that that's one thing that would actually cure what I talked about a minute ago, which is people's self-hatred and feeling like they have no purpose in life. Christianity is like the greatest self-purpose that you could think of, because it says that your life doesn't just matter here, but actually everything you do here matters outside of here too. Because at the end of the day, you want to be nice to people, you want to provide for people, you want to lead them to Christ, because you want to make sure that they're good here and in their next life. And then it's not all about having all of the worldly possessions when you're here, but it's actually about ensuring that people have every opportunity to make their life better through knowing, meeting, and loving Jesus, emotionally, spiritually, but also physically. Christianity is big on doing community service for people. Not as big as we should be. That's actually one thing I would like to see, is a bunch of different Christian churches, different Christian faiths get together and do big projects. Like, it really bothers me that like say like a Baptist church and a Catholic church wouldn't get along, like that we spend so much time colliding over like different rituals that are done or different ways that things are done, or maybe different interpretations of text, when we should be working together on these bigger, broader things that we could do. Like we could get a bunch of different churches together and really do huge like housing or like food projects. We really could. We have so many Christians in the United States of America that give money to churches every week that we could fix a lot of problems if we all worked together. But that's just the thing. It's not wrong to think that maybe the Catholics have it a tad bit wrong, because I disagree with the fact that they do this in their church. Like, I don't agree with the fact that you confess your sins to, say, a priest. That's okay if you don't agree with that. But don't treat the Catholics like they're your enemy. They still believe in Christ just like you and I, right? Like, I'm non-denominational personally, but my best friend, man, he's Catholic. And we get along, man, like best buds. That's the thing, is just, it's okay to disagree, but like we got to find ways that we can work together and really like save the culture, because the culture is dying. And I'm going to rant for just 1 minute here. Just a minute. Just a minute, okay? Why, in modern day society, are so many girls set on being thoughts? And I don't mean to be disrespectful towards the women here, but holy crap, y'all are nuts. Back when I was growing up, and I'm 22. Back when I was growing up and I was a wee lad, right? It wasn't cool to be a hoe. It wasn't. I don't know what. It's like this whole like women's march and like the whole women's movement thinks that it's like some lit shit to be a hoe. If you're out here going like, yes, I'm a hoe and I'm proud. Yes, queen, I'm doing me. Okay, that's disgusting. I don't want to say you're disgusting, but you're disgusting, all right? That's some nasty ass shit to be like, I want to go through a hoe phase. Yeah, nothing says you're a quality person like giving away the deepest physical thing that you could share with somebody to everybody and probably getting full of STDs and all sorts of other shit and risking... like, that's nasty, bro. That's really nasty. And I get so mad because when I say, like, so many girls are thoughts, I don't even just mean in terms of, like, wanting to sleep with a ton of dudes, which is facts, bro. There's so many girls like that. And I live in a more conservative part of the country, in a smaller town with a big religious population, and there's still a bunch of proud-ass thoughts around here. But it's also their personalities. Everyone wants to be like this basic Instagram thought where they're like, they talk with like the most basic vocabulary and in this kind of like bitchy way, just to like ensure that like I look good, because like it's kind of like I feel like special when I talk this way, and I think that it makes me look kind of good to the guys, and it makes me seem like a basic bitch that could get ran through. Like, if you want to come run a train, like, yeah, like you could do that, dude. Like, that type of shit bugs me. Y'all are nasty. If I talk to a female or a male that's on some basic ass shit like that, that's like, and I know, hold on, let me backtrack for 1 minute. I know there are going to be females that pull out the good old token, oh, but it's okay when guys are hoes? Yeah, got you now. Checkmate there, buckaroo. No. Guys that are hoes are nasty ass crackers too. Okay? I'll be the first one to say that. But what I see more and more nowadays is that girls are bigger hoes than guys. A lot of the guys I talk to, guys at work, guys at school, like, some of, even guys that like have like premarital sex or like don't really like wait long for that kind of thing, they're more reserved than the girls are. The girls will be like, oh my gosh, he's got a big dick. Like, what the f is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you crackers? That's what I want to know, honestly. When did it become cool for girls to be like, I'm such a slut? Because girls really have adopted these words to mean endearing terms. Like, they call each other hoes and shit. And I'm like, what the f? This is not cool. Y'all are nasty. Y'all are like walking STD bags, bro. That's the thing. And I don't mean to be an absolute asshole, but y'all are the assholes for treating sex like it's just this thing that you should have with everybody, and that it's fine that you're a hoe, and that like, yes, I'm gonna do me. And at the end of the day, yes, you're free to do you. But don't get insulted when a guy like myself who has very high standards is like, yeah, no, I don't. Oh, see, when your body count is higher than the national debt, there's a very good chance that I don't want to make any physical contact with you. So please keep your distance, all right? Thank you. Man, it's just, and there's so many thoughts. There's so many thoughts. It makes me sad because I'm 22, and I work with people that are as young as really like 16, right? I work with a lot of people that are between like 16 and their mid to late 20s, I'd say. And it's like all of the females will casually talk about their sexcapades, how they have sex, like with different dudes, or like what his dick was like, or like very casually about like, oh yeah, we did this, like it was pretty fun. I don't get it. It's not attractive. It's not cute. And at the end of the day, I know that a lot of this ties into the fact that women are actually different than men in one general respect. It seems like generally men are more willing to have casual relations than a girl is, in terms of a guy, and I don't mean relations like that, but I mean more in terms of a lot of guys I know aren't necessarily looking for marriage right off the bat. They're just kind of like dating for the fun of it. But I know a lot of girls really want that romance of someone to spend forever with, even if they won't call it marriage, because, you know, marriage has been eroded culturally. They want someone to spend forever with. And they think that the way to do it is to go and ramp things up to 10 out of 10, like on the second date, third date, and have sex, like 2 months in, 3 months in. That's disgusting. It's not like, that's gross. You don't know that person. That's, personally, the way that I view it, what I've always wanted, I really wanted to wait and share that with one person, and that person, I'm the only person that they share with, and vice versa, so that it really means something. And I've heard crackers say shit like, well then how do you know that you're going to have chemistry? What if it's awkward? If sexual chemistry is the biggest thing that you're worried about in your life, you're not going anywhere in the world. And I'm just going to say that very factually because it's true. If that's like your biggest thing, it's like, well, what if he doesn't hit it right? I mean, is that what you want your life to be? Getting run through by 25 different guys until you find one that hits it right? Yeah, see how good his personality is when you're fixated on how good he hits it, all right? Congratulations, you played yourself. Now, we're going to move on to some feel-good talk before we end this podcast, this postcast. Like and subscribe. Post enlightenment on Instagram. Let your friends know. Let your dad know. Let your firefighter, your local firefighter know. So moving on to the last topic, man. I just wanted to kick it with a little bit of video game nostalgia again this week, because last week we talked a little bit about different video game series. We talked a lot about like Bethesda's catalog, the Fallout games, Skyrim. Will the Elder Scrolls 6 be good? Which I actually posted a poll on that, and I need to check the results today, see what they said. But today I want to talk about something good, man. And if you're over the age of 18, you should be able to relate to this. Call of Duty World at War Zombies, man. Now, I talk about this game a lot because it's really one of my favorite games, World at War, but specifically the Zombies mode. Now, back in the day, man, when I first got World at War, I got it way after the fact. So, like, I want to say Modern Warfare 2 came out in 2009. I don't think I actually got an Xbox till 2010. I don't think I got Modern Warfare 2 till 2011. I was late to that party because my parents were like pretty tight about money at the time. But I didn't even get World at War until after I got Modern Warfare 2. I want to say like probably a year or two later, probably 2013. So I was super late to the party because World at War came out in I think 2008. Now, my first experience with World at War, I got it on 360. That's where all me and my friends played. We used to have the most lit Xbox Live parties. We just roast the shit out of each other. It was good times, you know, back in the young teenage days, like 12, 13, 14, 15. But I remember getting World at War on the Xbox, man, and playing it with my friends, and playing the multiplayer a lot before I really got into the zombies real deep, because I didn't buy any of the DLC initially. When I played the multiplayer... It was pretty cool. I don't actually remember too much about that. Oh, I do remember. I got hacked in the multiplayer because like the game was 5 years old at the time. Someone with a J tag or whatever put me up to like max level with like max everything. I was like, oh, this is lit. Okay, this is dope. And then here's where I made a mistake. I random queued for some zombies, and I didn't have any of the DLC at the time. So for those of you who don't know, there were a total of 4 zombies maps in World at War. It came out with one zombies map, which was Nach der Untoten. That was the one that was included in the base game. And then you could buy DLC and you would get Verrucht, which was like this prison map. It was kind of like a reddish tint to it. And then you, on the other DLC, could get Shino Numa, which was like this outdoors green, like Japanese or jungle looking map. And then the next one was Der Ries, which was on the final DLC. That one had kind of like a blue tint to it, and it was like in Germany somewhere. But, so I just like random queued, and I didn't have any DLC, so I just random queued for like the Nach der Untoten map at the time. And I think it was like my first or second match random queuing. Like I had barely tried zombies. Like I was just getting started. And this guy in our game D-ranks everyone. And I don't think I was playing with my friends at the point. It was just me. D-ranks everybody, or like sets everyone back at like the lowest level, meaning you couldn't have any good guns in the multiplayer. And different like modes and stuff, if I'm not mistaken, actually got locked or unlocked depending on your rank. So I basically lost the ability to do a ton of stuff in that game and got so pissed off. I basically, that game, like I couldn't play it on Xbox. I tried to message a couple hackers I knew to try and reverse it. And I actually had someone try to set my max level to to whatever the max level was, but it instantly got reset to the lowest rank. Like I was stuck at the bottom. So World at War, man, a little bit of hacker nostalgia there, but I ended up getting reset. But here's what happened. Me and my buddies ended up getting into, in the summer of 2013, we ended up getting really into Steam and the whole PC Master Race, the whole PC gaming thing. And we were looking for like lit games to play on PC because one of the biggest problems with PC, there's not a ton of dope multiplayer games to play on PC like there is on console. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. So me and my boys, we get World at War, and we get World at War on PC. We get all of the DLC, and luckily now we're not getting hacked. But the problem is World at War on PC is like pretty dead. Like you can't find Nazi zombies on there. So, but here's my real introduction to World at War Zombies, man. It's on Steam. Me and my buddies, man, we played so much Nach der Untoten, so much Verrucht, so much Shino Numa on PC. But really, we went ham on Der Ries, man. We used to play Der Ries, sit up on the catwalk with the freaking STG-44 and like a your little ray gun as your side piece, and there always be that lucky guy who got the Wunderwaffe, monkeys, you know, all the good stuff. Sit up there on the catwalk. Such good memories, man. And really quick, I'm just gonna rank my favorite, or how the zombies maps, in my opinion, went. I think, in my opinion, Der Ries was absolutely the best World at War zombies map by far, like the aesthetic of that map, the kind of like blue in the night sky, and it's dreamy, and there's like Easter eggs, and there's a catwalk that you can camp on, or you can try and run laps because there's like a few like small circles on the map. Super dope. First zombies map to have the pack-a-punch. Dope. Also had the teleporter. Second, I would put Shino Numa, because Shino Numa was, I don't think it had a pack-a-punch or whatever, but it was like a pretty spacious map, which wasn't really seen in zombies maps before that, because you have to think the only 2 zombies maps before Shino Numa were Verrucht and Nach der Untoten. Shino Numa was pretty dope, though. I remember seeing like videos online where people would hit crazy rounds in the hundreds or like the thousands. And that blew my mind, because me and my friends could never get past like 30-something or 40-something. We weren't that good, I guess. But I think that was the first one with like traps and stuff like that in there. Perk machines. That was the first map with perk machines. Shino Numa was dope, but not near as good as Der Ries. And then, in my opinion, Verrucht was like the first DLC zombies map, and it was the first one with like multiple, like a moving mystery box and something else. I forget what, but I think power. I think it was the first map where you could turn on power. But in my opinion, Nach der Untoten was actually a little bit better than Verrucht, because Verrucht is like this kind of small-ass prison with like red lights, and you're separated from your team at the start, which separating from the team at the start is really cool the first few times, but after a while it just kind of gets annoying. And low-key, like, I would always hope I wouldn't get stuck with someone like my buddy Grayson, who is just going to, like, abuse the mystery box as soon as we find it and not allow me to hit it. That kind of thing, you know? But Nocturne and Toten was, even though it was such a basic-ass map, and the mystery box is just in one place, and it's really hard to hold out in that map because there's just that little, you sit back on the thing and you don't, I'm trying to articulate this clearly if you've never played this map. You go and you sit above the little spiral staircase. There's this little corner, and you can clear the debris or you can leave it there. We would always leave the debris, and we would sit back in this corner. And all of the zombies would come through like one main channel and through a side window. And you just basically just line them up and just chain the whole team, just kill everything. That map was actually pretty fun, but I felt like it was kind of broken because we could never really get past like 20 or something. But still a good map. Now here's where things get lit. If you have never played World at War Zombies custom maps, I promise you, you need to go do it. It's literally the most fun I've ever had, probably in video games, man. The World at War Zombies custom maps that you can get on PC are crazy. So, one, I'll just mention off the top, they actually have a Knock Darun Sultan map, but it's called like Knock Reimagined or something like that. And there's like a little bit added onto the map outside, so you can kind of go outside of that little map, the first zombies map that there is. There's like perk machines, pack-a-punch, so it kind of like adds a little bit of depth to that. But man, we played on like a SpongeBob map where we were literally running through Bikini Bottoms, like slaying zombies. That was a dope-ass time. I'm trying to think of what else there was. We've played so many cool maps. I think there's 3 maps, though. There's 3 maps that I would put at the top for the best custom maps that I've played. And I've played a lot of custom maps, guys. So if you're listening to this and you want to go ahead and, like, with your friends, give it a try, man, hit up these 3 maps. Honestly, just DM me, too, because I might be down to play with y'all if you all want to play some World at War Custom Zombies maps on PC. But there was 3 maps I really loved. Custom ones that we played. And I'll rank them from 3rd to 2nd to 1st in order of, like, worst to best, but they're all good. The 3rd one I would have to say would be school. Okay, that sounds like kind of crazy that we're gonna shoot up zombies in the school. FBI, please, don't listen. No, so there's this map. It's called like School or Schoolyard or something like that, and it's actually dope. You start off like separated, kind of like you do in Varrock. And you start off either kind of by the bathrooms, by the front of the school, or like deep in the school in like an obscure classroom. And you have to work around, and you kind of like work around the map back together when you kind of turn on the power and stuff. But what's really cool about the modded maps in World at War is they'll pull assets from other Call of Duty games. So in this modded map, you could get guns from, I think like Black Ops 2, I think Call of Duty 4. There's like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 guns, I think. They had all sorts of cool guns, and a lot of them have custom, like super guns, like thunder guns or like ray guns. Like they have their own versions of those. But this map is crazy. It's a big school. You kind of work your way around to it. There's like a giant empty pool in the back of the school that's like being emptied out, and the school is still under construction, so it kind of has a cool aesthetic. You can go on the roof of the school if you want, and there's like a teleporter up there. You can go sit on the basketball court and try and survive there if you want. It's just literally a school. It's a dope-ass map. You can run laps throughout the school. Guns from different Call of Duty games. Just really a big map. Highly recommend it. Now, there is one map, a couple maps actually, that I would say are slightly better. And the number 2 that we'll put is there's this map. I think it's called Town of the Dead. I hope I'm getting that right. Dude, this map is lit. It's literally you start off on a side kind of alley, in like a little grassy patch. And then you buy your way onto the street. And in the street, there's a little bit of debris that you can clear, and it makes this entire street, an entire city basically, open to you. And it's a long-ass map. It's not super wide, though, so it can make juking a little bit tough at times. But, like, I think it's like a bank or a gas station that you can go inside of. There's, like, different stores that you can go inside of. It's literally a town. Now, there's like all sorts of custom guns on this map, if I'm not mistaken. There's like custom guns from I think like Black Ops 2, or Modern Warfare, one of the Modern Warfare. Like, there's a bunch of different guns that you can get, which is really cool. I think Black Ops guns too, even though it's a World at War map technically. It pulls on all these assets. But here's the coolest thing about this map. They have custom bosses in this map. I know there's a couple different kinds of bosses, but the one that I really remember off the top of my head, me and my boys were like camping out in the second story of this building. I want to say it was like a warehouse or something. We're just like wrecking everything. We're doing great. Okay, there's 2 bosses I remember. But what finally killed us, we were like wrecking the shit out of everything. What finally killed us, King Kong just dropped out of outer space to come rape us. King Kong, dude, on a Call of Duty map. That shit was lit. It was like a bullet sponge, dude. We were throwing everything we had at him with the you know, like the thunder gun, the ray gun, pulling out pistol, whatever we had. And this guy would not die. So we ended up dying to King Kong in like round 30, but that map was so much fun. They also had the BioShock Big Daddy. Not me, I'm the Big Dad, but the Big Daddy. I'm so gay. It had the BioShock Big Daddy in there as a boss too. We raped the shit out of that thing though. But yeah, really cool custom map. They really spent a lot of time with the assets, pulling different stuff. Really good map. And some of these maps even have custom zombies. Like they'll pull like the little fiery zombies from like Black Ops 2. Some of them will pull the little like crawlers on the ground with the gas from like Black Ops, and they'll put them in these maps. But the absolute best zombies map, custom zombies map, or just zombies map that I've ever played to this date, and it makes me so sad because this map is so broken, it's called Neighborhood. It's a very underground map, and like nobody knows about it. It's not really big in the custom maps community. I've done a lot of research to try and find a version of this map that's not broken, and I'll explain why it's broken in a minute. But this map is probably the most balanced map that I've ever played, where there's a lot of areas to run loops on zombies. There's a couple places where you can try and camp. There's kind of a version of teleporters. But basically, the way that this map is spaced out is it's just a small neighborhood that's still in construction. And it's in like 1940s or 1950s Canada. And so they're these kind of like old school houses. And you spawn in one house, you have to buy your way out, and you kind of like buy trucks and stuff to clear the streets. You buy your way and trucks disappear. You're not driving the truck. But what's really cool is there's like different back alleyways between the houses, between the backyards that you can take as you're like unlocking doors. There's like a little canal that you can unlock, and you can kind of run a long ass loop around the canal back towards the neighborhood. You can go into the backyards of the houses. There's literally a giant playground, and you can like wait at the top and then take the slide back down the playground. There's just so much cool stuff that you can do on this map. It's lit, dude. There's actually secrets to the map that you can unlock. So there's like secret little bunkers that you can get over time if the map functions. Now here's the problem. There's like an emergency bunker under a couple of houses. One of them is actually like you can buy your way out of the map, or like do some sort of quarantine of the map for like 500,000 points if you make it that far. But what's really cool is just running loops, because it's such an open map. It's so fun, but it's balanced. It's hard to articulate, but every once in a while, man, the little pieces that you need to like open the pack-a-punch on that map, or to in theory escape that map, because there's a lot of like little pieces that you have to put together. A lot of times they don't have all the pieces there, so you can't pack-a-punch. You can't open like you can't open the door to try and escape, because you need to get like little pieces to like build up like I honestly forget how it works, but it's like you have to get a power switch and a couple other pieces like a gear or something to fix up stuff. But a lot of times not all of that spawns, so you get screwed. And then the other thing that sucks is the box is broken, where like you'll be hitting the mystery box, abusing the shit out of it, getting the best guns in the game. It'll be like round 14, and it'll just decide that when it moves into oblivion, and it just ceases to exist. And so you have to wait for a fire sale to use the box, which just makes it 100 times harder. I don't think that's intentional, though. I think that's just a bug. But please, if you are a creator, or if you in some way know how to code, please find the neighborhood map and fix it, because it is the best Call of Duty map, Call of Duty Zombies map by far out of anyone I've played. But it does have some issues. It really does. But man, I love Call of Duty World at War, man. I really do. I just wanted to end it with some nostalgia, man. And if you guys play World at War and you like custom maps, or you haven't, really go buy it. I think on Steam it's like 10 or 20 bucks. It's the Steam summer sale for the next few days, until the 7th of July, I think, here. So for the next 3 or 4 days. Go ahead and buy it, man. Get the custom zombies maps. They're free to download. You can find them online. It's such a good time, dude. It's such a good time just to kind of kick back with the boys, chill, have some good-ass conversations, you know, like talk about the good old days, talk about your girl, just talk about whatever you want to talk about, and just kick back and play a custom zombies map, man. It doesn't get much better than that. But as you guys know, this is the PostCast. This is episode 2. Sorry, I'm kind of like on one today. I drank a bang before I filmed this, which if you guys have never had a bang before, it has like 2.5 times the caffeine of a Red Bull or something. It's like insane. And to be honest with you, like my vision keeps kind of going dark because I'm so amped right now. But pray for me. I'll pray for y'all. I love y'all. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you follow the page. Please, I'm not just saying this to you crackers. Let me know what you want me to talk about next time. I love to customize the topics around what's going on in your life, or what you guys are thinking about, what you guys are talking about. As always, I love y'all, and peace.